What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 7 of Rebel Roundtable, the first official podcast of Rebel Sports Network here at UNLV. I'm your host, Maile Palacios, here with my co-host, Thomas Gobbo.
Back once again, week 7, Episode 7 of the new semester, and let's get into it.
So, as per usual, Thomas will be covering National, and then we'll be heading it back over to me for UNLV Athletics, so want to get us started?
Yep, March Madness is still going on. The Sweet 16 just occurred last week, and then into the weekend was the Elite 8, but we'll get right to that in a second. Purdue beat Texas by a single possession. That was a pretty good game to watch. And Iowa beat Nebraska. All these games are going to be good to watch, except a couple of blowouts, but that really shouldn't have been blowouts, but who knows. Illinois shockingly beat Houston. Houston, one of the best basketball programs in the country, made the national championship last year. And Kelvin Sampson, who's up there in age, said he's coming back to coach next season. So, yeah, go coach. Arkansas's John Calipari lost to Arizona, Pete, and the guys are rolling. Now we're going to go into St. John's losing to Duke. Unfortunately, my St. John's losing to Duke.
Oh, wait, wrong team. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, Duke won 80-75. My pick to win it is no longer in it.
Wasn't that also, not a... I thought St. John's was, kind of favored. Or, everyone that was, choosing Duke.
Yeah.
Only just Duke fan, I feel like, from personal knowledge.
I don't know. It seemed like Duke held most of the control for that game. Then St. John's almost came back at the end. But Duke is going to Duke and prevail, but they didn't prevail.
I was going to say,
against
for
UConn.
now.
Michigan beat Alabama. They just basically wiped the floor with them. That is another. Dusty May has them rolling right now. And then UConn beat Michigan State. Another comeback game. Michigan State was down going into the second half and came back a little bit, led by Tom Izzo, Jeremy Fears. The one dude likes to dunk. I forget his name.
I don't know.
I know. I'm just not. Sorry. Tennessee beat Iowa State. But yeah, going into the Elite 8, Illinois beat Iowa, shockingly. Andre Stojakovic, son of Peja Stojakovic, is in the Final Four. Arizona beat Purdue by 15. Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, who stayed there all 4 years at Purdue, their career there ultimately comes to an end. And Braden Smith being the all-time career assist person in NCAA history. He's a great point guard, and I feel like somebody will pick him up in the NBA. Michigan just wiped the floor with Tennessee, 95-62. It was close in the first 10 minutes, and then Michigan just got hot. Offense led by Elliot Cadeau and Yaxel Landeborg. It's just unstoppable right now, and we'll see if this is probably my favorite to win the national championship, so we'll see if they can do that. But yeah, probably the game of the entire week, UConn versus Duke. UConn was down 19 points at the half, 44-25, and then started chipping back until it came down to a final possession where Duke lost it. They threw a turnover. Cameron Boozer's brother, Caden Boozer, threw a turnover, and freshman on UConn, Braylon Mullen, hit a half-court not a buzzer beater, but there was 0.3 seconds left, but an incredible shot to send your team to the Final Four, that's for sure.
I feel like Duke had been kind of hot and cold throughout the whole tournament, though. That first game, was it Siena? Mm-hmm. Where that game was closer than it should have been.
Yeah, and then they've just in recent years, they've just not have a top seed and then just lose, and I don't know. Luckily, I'm not a Duke fan, so better luck next season. You guys get all the top recruits anyway, and they all go to the NBA in their freshman year, so you guys are good for sure. But yeah, the Final Four starts this Saturday, April 4th. UConn versus Illinois at 3:09, and Arizona versus Michigan. That'll be a great game to watch. Everybody should tune into that game if you can. But yeah, now going into the MLB Week 1. We'll just start with the Pirates. They lost their opening series against the Mets, 1-2 on the year.
What happened with Paul Skeens?
It's not his fault. I don't think it was his fault. Center fielder O'Neal Cruz had a couple fielding errors, but yeah, I don't know. Hopefully he can bounce back against the Reds. Believe he's projected to pitch on Sunday, so we'll see about that. But yeah, hopefully we can get past the adversity, and it's gonna be a rough year again. But yeah, as of yesterday, the Dodgers, Blue Jays, Yankees, Brewers, and Marlins were all 3-0 until the Brewers, Marlins, Blue Jays all lost yesterday, and now they are 3-1. Guardians' Chase DeLauder is leading the league with 4 home runs in 4 games. It's pretty good so far. Then, Pirates' Brandon Lau had 2 home runs on opening day. That was really the only bright spot. And he has 3 so far, so he's tied for second. The Nationals' Joey Weimer is leading the league with an 800 batting average. Dude likes to get on base. That's crazy. It's like, well, it's not like, it's 80%. He's getting on base, or batting, so that's pretty cool. Dylan Cease and Kevin Gausman of the Blue Jays, they shut down the soon-to-be Las Vegas Athletics in their first series of the year. Dylan Cease had 12 strikeouts, and Kevin Gausman a game later had 11. And then the White Sox, Munetaka Murakami from Japan, signed a free agent deal this winter, has 3 home runs. He's tied for second. People were saying he couldn't hit the fastball. I think he can hit the fastball, fellas. I don't know what we're talking about. But yeah, Mike Soroka yesterday, 330, had 10 strikeouts along with a immaculate inning. That's pretty cool. And
I feel like, did you see that everyone was like getting mad excuse me, about the Dodgers? Like, they were losing 2 of the 3 games, right? And then came back and won like in the 8th. How do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about people getting... Okay, it's literally 3 games into the season, and people are already getting mad. When we're, like, kind of... I love Ohtani, but we don't need to be glazing, like, every single one of his moves. Every single time he breathes, it turns into a clip. And I can, like, acknowledge that, you know? Like, that's going a little overboard. But how do you feel about the wins and, like, people getting mad that they're able to come back?
That's their fault. If your team's losing, if they have a lead and they come back, like, that's your team's fault. Like,
yeah, I feel like that's just the game at that point.
Yeah, you're getting mad. I mean, unless you're playing on one of the teams, I mean, you have no really
taking it personal
input. They're just a good team.
Thank you.
They are. I mean, it's common knowledge that they're a good team. They're able to get themselves out of these situations and come back, and probably see them back in the World Series. Anyways,
I'm going to clip that face.
Anyways, the NBA playoffs start April 18th. Last day of the regular season is April 12th, with the play-in game starting the 14th through the 16th. Hopefully my favorite player right now, Luka Doncic of the Los Angeles Lakers, will win MVP. Yeah. Now we're going to kick it to UNLV Athletics. Go Lakers. Go Pirates.
Lakers.
Go Steelers. Go Penguins.
You can't have 3 Pittsburgh teams and then suddenly call an LA team.
Nah, that's just how I was born. We don't have an NBA team in Pittsburgh.
You gotta like pick something in that area. Can't be.
Family has been a Lakers fan since
Okay, all right.
Magic Kareem days. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just also was born into Lakers too. So, but I don't really pay attention to NBA like that. It's more so just baseball, football. Anyway, going into UNLV, starting off with swim. So because last week we came back from spring break, we didn't get to cover all the events that happened over spring break, one of which was The women competing at the NCAA championships in Atlanta, Georgia, they competed from the 18th through the 21st, and Ava Olsen finished 53rd overall in the 500 free and 30th overall in the how do you even say that?
The 1650
free?
Yeah.
What is that converted into, like...
Oh gosh, you got to do the math again.
Well, okay, so 400...
30.
1600. That's more than a mile.
That's crazy.
And we were kind of talking about this before we came into film.
32 laps. That's crazy.
But we were kind of talking about, like, 53rd. Like, that doesn't sound like... But when you're putting it into comparison of the entirety of NCAA swimmers, and specifically the ones that even qualified to compete at NCAA, because obviously they had to get invited, that's still, like, I think 53rd is the lowest that we had. But then she also got 30th. Top 30.
Yeah, this is on a national scale. Like,
yeah.
This is good stuff right here, so congrats.
And then the freshman Rachel Wigginton was 32nd overall in the 200 fly. So, okay.
200 butterfly. Butterfly's the worst stroke, I feel.
Wait, what did you say was your favorite one?
Backstroke.
Yeah.
Because it's so chill.
Which one is that one?
Like...
is butterfly like the...
Butterfly's like the...
What's wrong? Wait, what's wrong with this one then?
No, you're underwater. Like, it's a whole technique.
I know you're underwater.
No, like,
but...
no. Well, obviously. It's a whole technique with your feet, your arms. It's all, no thanks.
So you're not a fan of the butterfly?
Nah. Backstroke, that's where I'll be at. The freestyle, I'll be there too.
Well, speaking of free, then the Mason. Who is Mason? Sorry. The men competed at the NCAA championships in Atlanta, Georgia, also from the 25th to the 28th, where Bryson Huey finished 32nd overall in the 50 free. Took me a second to get to the free, but promise we got there. And then Ian Bellflower won his heat and received 30th overall in the 200 fly.
Nice, nice.
Those were the two you said, right? Free and fly? Wait, no, not fly.
Oh.
Not fly.
Free and backstroke.
Yeah. Did you swim?
No, I worked at a pool though.
I know, but...
No, I did not swim.
Not competitively.
But no, I get tired just seeing some of the kids do butterfly. It's rough.
Well, moving into tennis, it was a bit of a confusing week with tennis only because the schedule looked a bit off. But we do know for a fact that the men competed on the 27th at SDSU, San Diego State, and lost 3-7. Sorry, oh my goodness, what is going on today? They lost 3-4. And then the women competed also on the 27th at Utah State and won 4-2. And then competed on the 29th at number 49 Boise State and won 4-3.
Good stuff. Computer just crashed, but it's all good. We keep the show rolling.
And moving on to track, who also had a very eventful weekend. They competed at the Bob Larson Distance Carnival / Jim Bush Legends Meet in UCLA. And we had a lot of personal bests and a lot of placing, so just bear with us. Claire Rance had a personal best for the 1500 meters for 4 minutes and 42 seconds. Kenley Gowdy also had a personal best in this event for 4 minutes and 49 seconds, and then Taryn Bailey also had a personal best in this event for 4 minutes and 51 seconds. Amaya Mitchell-Howard placed 6th for the hammer throw, going 55.42 meters. Lauren Williams also had a personal best in hammer throw, going 48.51 meters. And then is this Ain? Shirley,
McCade?
right?
Yeah. It's a cool name. Ain McCade.
It kind of like flows.
I know.
Well, Ain McCade also had a personal best in the 5,000 meters for 18 minutes and 51 seconds. What is that? 5,000?
So one lap is 400. So 5,000
can you
divided by 400. 1.25. So that's... Wait.
No, surely not.
Wait. Yeah.
Wait, math? 5,000 divided by...
12 and a half.
12 and a half laps?
Yeah. 12 and a half times you're going around.
3 and a half? Wait.
Oh.
Never mind.
That's why we're
journalism majors. Like, keep the math away. Alana Singh-Prassett had a personal best for the 5,000 meters, going 18 minutes and 42 seconds.
Went to high school with her.
I feel like we said that. Did they compete in the last semester? Yeah, right? Because I remember you saying that you, like, knew her, or... Yeah. Anyway. And then Victoria Pero, Kaviana Jackson, Anna K. Maitland, and Micah Scott placed second in the 4x100 relay with a flat 44 seconds and the third fastest time in UNLV history.
That's fast. 44 seconds? Dang.
And then
Congrats.
Sophia Clark placed 7 for the discus throw with 45.78 meters, and then JC Wright placed 5th and had a personal best in the 100-meter hurdles for 13.67 seconds. Kaylin Gowdy placed 6th for the 400 meters with 54.48 seconds. Caitlin Webb placed 7th for the 400 meters with 54... Oh my goodness, that was barely like 0.4 of a difference. Caitlin Webb placed 7th for the 400 meters with 54.88 seconds.
Competing against each other.
You think surely they didn't place them in the same heat, right?
Maybe.
Dang, that would kind of...
Yeah, that would... Or no, they can't because they have to represent each school, I believe, in the lane, so yeah.
And then Victoria Pero was the 100-meter champ with 11.32 seconds.
That's fast. It's fast. Good job.
Well, then next was Kaviana Jackson, who placed 5th in the 100 meters with 11.65 seconds. So what is that, like a 0.23 difference? Wait, is that mathing?
0.33.
No, 3.3 difference. Wow.
Math
today is
mathing.
not. Yeah, today is not a good math day, apparently. But I feel like in the grand scheme of things, like obviously 0.33 is not a large time difference, but it really can just make a difference in track, huh?
Oh, it is, yeah. That like 1/10 of a second can just be shaved off just from the way you get out of the block. Like it's so important, so technical.
And then Alana Singh-Prassett again placed 7th in the 1,500 meters with 4 minutes and 53 seconds. Aine McCade had a personal best in the 1,500 meters with 5 minutes and 8 seconds. Jada Goforth, that's kind of a cool name too, like for track, like go forth.
Go forth. Go forth.
Jada Goforth had a personal best 400 meters with 57.99 seconds.
She was going forth.
She was going forth.
Congrats.
And then Caitlin Webb, Kaylin Gowdy, Aliciana Winston, and Jada Boucher got first place in the 4x400 relay.
Congratulations. That's tough. The 400 is, I feel, the worst one to... Because it's a sprint, and it's one around the track, so...
So we had 2 first places, correct? So Victoria Pero with the 100 meters, and then the 4 names I just named for the 4x400. Unfortunately, I will not be saying those names again, because I struggle.
Yeah,
I struggle with names.
A whole lot of names on this list, but perhaps the highlight of the UNLV track and field team, Krishna Jayasankar. Congratulations for making the second team for the All-American honors in her final season here at UNLV. We will miss you very much. And here's a quick quote from the UNLV track and field website. We are very proud of Krishna. She has represented UNLV track and field on every level. Not only has she been able to help build our throws program, but she has also shown the women what it means to be a student athlete, joining several clubs on campus, donating her time to the community, and being a positive leader and role model on this team. Leaving her legacy here at UNLV, I hope that more young female student athletes follow her lead. Go Rebels.
Go Rebels.
Clapping it up. Congrats, Krishna. We appreciate you. You even stepped on interview with us for, I believe, Rebels Give, and then something else for the show. And, you're just a great human being.
I saw her the other day, because you know the track is, right next to the baseball fields? And I guess she must have just been, going towards the conditioning building. And I walked by, I was like, surely not. It's still just so weird to me to think that they're just, normal people outside of these, crazy stats. And I saw her, and I was like, I am not, I don't want to seem weird and be like, are you? So I just took the L, and I had to, walk away and admire in silence. But, yeah, moving on to softball. the first game of the weekend, they unfortunately lost at Fresno State 9-3, but that's okay because it's the only L they took this weekend. And then they won at Fresno State 5-4 on the 28th, where Lauren Fedek threw her third complete game of the season and grabbed her 8th win.
Dang.
Yeah.
Third complete game. That's something. And her 8th win.
Yep. And then in the first inning, Kiana Chavez had an RBI, which got the score 1-0. Diamond Sefe was walked and walked in a run 2-0. Mantha Hatzenbeller had an RBI ground out that got the score 3-0. And then Rachel Cook with an 2 RBI double 5-0. And then UNLV remained scoreless after that, and the Bulldogs grabbed all 4 of their runs on 2 2-run singles. And then Bree Williams reached base in 22 consecutive games, and then Sherelle Aki and Natalie Turner are each on 9-game reached base streaks. So for the final score was 5-4, and then they competed at Fresno State again for the final time on the 29th, and they won 5-3, where Mantha Hatzenbeller and Taryn Calderon both had solo home runs. Yanina Sherwood collected the win in relief for her 6th of the season, and then Lauren Fedek secured her first career save in the circle for the Rebels, and then Kiana Chavez went 2 for 3, and Diamond Sefe went 2 for 4.
Yeah, good series for UNLV softball for sure. Mm-hmm. Bounce back after the first loss and put 2 more W's on their season.
That would be a conference series, huh? Fresno State.
Yep.
So 2-1.
Yep.
And then baseball also had believe this was their second conference series because their first conference series was against Air Force, but this was the first home conference series, and they competed against San Jose State, and on the 27th they won 18-7, and SJSU scored in the first with just 1 run, so it was only 1-0. But then in the first inning, Reggie Bussey doubled and scored on a Marcos Rosales RBI single, and then Marcos scored on a sac fly from Nin Burns II, making the score 2-1. In the second inning, Marcos Rosales had a 3-run homer, extending that score 5-1. And then in the third inning, SJSU Peyton Rawls, who's a freshman, I believe he's the only freshman that really got any playing time this weekend from both teams, had an RBI single, and then JC Osario Agard had a 3-run homer that tied the game 5-5. But in fourth run, oh my goodness, why can I not speak today? In a fourth inning, 11-run, that inning went on like over an hour, I think. Just the fourth inning alone, because then obviously like you have like the pitching changes and those take like 5 minutes just getting everything set up. But yeah, in the fourth inning, SJSU Peyton Rawls had a 2-run single that extended their lead to 7-5. But then in UNLV's most explosive inning of the season, we had RBI hits from Gunnar Myro, Marcos Rosales, and Drew Berrigan, and then 2-run doubles from Nin and Gunnar, and then Reggie Bussey had an RBI triple, and they ended the inning at 16-7.
9 runs in that inning. Very high-scoring game.
Yep. And then, well, as it usually is with our Hustlin' Rebels, like if they come out strong, or like even the game we'll get to that they lost yesterday, Monday, it was still a high-scoring game. But still staying on Friday's game, in the 5th inning, Nin and Marcos had solo home runs that got their score to 18-7, and then they just, run ruled the Spartans in the 7th inning. And then Carson Lane and Yates Bland had a combined 5 strikeouts, with Yates Bland moving to 3-0 on the season. And Marcos becomes the first Rebel this season to get 2 home runs in a game, and he went 4 for 5 with 6 RBIs.
Batting 800 for that game and 6 RBIs.
Yep. And then in that game, Nin and Drew both went on, Nin went on a 13-game hit streak, and now Drew is on an 11-game hit streak.
Yep. Congrats to the guys.
Mm-hmm. And then they competed against SJSU again on the 28th, where they won 15-8. And then in the first inning, I was calling this game.
Oh, yeah. How was that? How was the first time experience?
It was kind of scary, honestly, but I feel like I was pretty prepared. I was calling with Bryce, who we had on last season, but yeah, he definitely took the lead. He knew what he was doing, so I didn't really have to talk like as much. which was nice because like I feel like when I was able to talk, like it was like of substance and not just like repeating whatever he was saying. Altino shade. And then, in the first inning, SJSU scored 2 runs early off a double and some wild pitches. And then in the bottom of the first, did you hear anything about what happened this weekend with those games? Okay. I was going to say long story short, but this is probably still going to be kind of a long story. Marcos is on first base, okay? Marcos either got walked, got a hit, I don't remember. He was on first base. And then Drew comes up to hit, right? Drew's hitting. He hits it to the shortstop. And it was going to be a very close play. And Marcos did not slide. So he should have, I guess, legally slid into second and didn't. And he just did not stop running. So he, like, rounded second, got to third. But because he didn't slide, the second baseman did not make the catch. And the ball, like, went into the outfield.
What?
Yeah. So because the ball went into the outfield, now Drew technically has, like, a double off an error, you know? Now Marcos is at third, Drew is at second, and the SJSU coach comes out to be like, oh, that's illegal. Like, Marcos should have slid. Which, okay. So we're thinking, okay, Marcos is going to get called out. But they called out both players. So they called out Marcos and Drew.
Did he get in the way of the base path or
Drew?
No, Marcos?
I don't know. So it was going to be a close play anyway, which is why I'm assuming that they wanted him to slide. But I don't know. It didn't seem like, I'm also like up in the press box area, so I didn't get a good look at it. But it didn't seem that he was in the way. It just seemed like he knew something was going to happen and continued rounding and like was like sprinting. So
and that's legal. I mean, if the shortstop didn't like field the ball and it was known that he was going to field the ball for a double play, then it's free game. You keep running the base path.
Yeah, I really don't know, but they ended up calling them both out. And that kind of like ended the inning. So with that, it was like a whole like 5-7 minute like interaction, I guess, of whether or not Marcos and Drew were going to be called out. And then in the top of the second, because that was like the play that ended the inning, Nin Burns II comes out of the dugout. And the umpires had been picking all weekend. Like Friday, something happened where the first base umpire was like, hey, tell the guy in the white to stop staring at me. Mind you, they're all wearing white. It's the uniform. He's like, tell him to stop staring at me. He's staring at me. Like, okay. And then someone had like a PVC pipe and was like blowing into it and making noise, which is like, oh, that's illegal. But like the umpire like was like yelling at them. And then this game, Nin, again, don't know the whole issue, but I'm assuming Nin ran out to go to right field, passes the first base umpire, says something that the umpire, of course, did not like. Nin gets ejected. So Nin gets ejected, then Jaden Hurdle comes in to take his place. And then nothing really happened in the second inning. And I didn't even know Nin got ejected until the end of the game. So, like, we're calling this and we're like, yeah, Nin is still not out. We didn't even see him hit, so what could have happened? But because it was happening so far into, like, near the dugout and we're paying attention to the warm-up, like, we didn't really see. Anyway, moving into the third inning, Marcos Rosales had a 2-run double to score Gunnar and Reggie, and then Drew had an RBI double, and then Cooper had a 2-run double, so that got the score to 5-2. And then in the fourth inning, Aiden Garcia had a sac fly extending the lead to 6-2. And then in the fifth and sixth inning, one per inning, SJSU had one unearned run. So that got the score to 6-4. And then Aiden Garcia with an RBI double and Jaden Hurdle with an RBI single in the sixth inning got the score to 8-4. And then in the eighth inning, the Spartans just went on a rally. And maybe I'm a hater, but I just don't think that Alex Fernandez performed as well as I would have thought, considering he had the fourth highest batting average in NCAA. But he did end up having a 2-run homer that kind of got, tied the game 8-8. But then in the 8th inning, of course, Hurdle had an RBI double. Jack Salmon had the bases loaded walk, so he walked in a run. Then Gunnar had a 2-run single, bases loaded walks to Marcos, Drew, and Aiden, and then the score was 15-8. And that was the final score. And then Parker Dilhoff was the starting pitcher, and he tied the school record for striking out 12. And then Jace Evangelista grabbed his 4th win, going 4-0 in the season now and struck out 4. And then Colton Sundloff finished off the game, striking out just 1. And then...
Wait, Evangelista got the... Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He got the win. Yeah. Wow. 12 strikeouts, though. That's pretty good. Tying the school record. Next time we got to break the school record.
So that's what I'm saying. They could have left him in for, like, one more inning, but he was kind of struggling. Like, imagine saying, like, oh, he was struggling and had 12 strikeouts. But he was not having his best game,
towards the back end, I'm sure. So.
And then on Sunday, they lost to SJSU 18-8. And in the first inning, bottom of the first, Reggie is up to bat. He strikes out, but it's a drop third strike. And again, didn't look like he was in, like, the way of the catcher. Like, it didn't seem like he was doing anything wrong. He runs through first. He's safe. The catcher didn't make the throw in time. And he turns around, says something to his coach, and then the umpire gets mad. And he tells him, like, to stop talking. Don't know why. And then Reggie is a bit of a hothead. So he says something back to the umpire. And then it's going back and forth. The coach is trying to get in the middle. Reggie's basically saying, "What? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And he's saying that. He gets ejected. Reggie goes in the dugout, tries to get his stuff. When he's leaving to go to the clubhouse, he basically goes, "You're a clown to the umpire." And then the umpire, don't know if he ended up doing this or not, but he says, "I'm going to report you." Assumingly to Mountain West.
There's been a lot of altercations with referees lately. I know I seen something going on in Carolina or North Carolina that some parent was fighting a referee at a 7-on-7 game. So, I mean, dog.
But I will say, like, Nin shouldn't have said anything. The instance didn't even involve him. But I'm standing right there in the well. Reggie said nothing to the guy at first. He was, like, you know, when you get to base, you, like, give your stuff to your coach. You talk to your coach. And I didn't see or hear him say anything to anyone else. But then, of course, he did end up talking back to them. So that's where that happened. But I don't know. I'm not gonna, you know, say anything. But if you've seen Reggie Bussey and Nin Burns II, there's something in common there. And the umpire had no problem saying anything else to anyone else on both teams. I leave that be. Then, I believe it was Ryan Martin, the Canadian. He was pitching and gave up a grand slam in the second. And then an RBI single in the fourth that got the score to 5-0. Moving on to the fifth inning, Nicky Garitano had a double, Marcos had an RBI single, and then Drew had a 2-run homer that got the game kind of close, and it was back to 5-3. And then in the sixth inning, SJSU had a 7-run inning, and the score was 12-3. But it's okay. Johnny had a solo home run, and there was RBI hits from Nicky and Marcos, and then that got the score to 12-6. And in the seventh, Brent Cota of SJSU had a 3-run homer, and then they scored 3 more runs for 18-6. And then Cooper and Johnny again had back-to-back home runs, but unfortunately they were run-ruled. However, what I will say is that one player definitely stood out this weekend and had an amazing weekend because he not only got Player of the Series, but he got Mountain West Player of the Week. And that is, of course, the Hustlin' Rebels second baseman Marcos Rosales, who had a .615 average on the weekend with a 1.154 slugging percentage with 11 RBIs and 8 hits.
I mean, what a week for Marcos Rosales. Congratulations. That's for sure.
Marcos has got to be like one of the sweetest like guys on the team, and it was so nice to see. He's so humble too. Like, he barely will celebrate when he does, like, anything. Like, bro got a home run. And I think, like, oh, I got a picture. Maybe if I, like, edit it fast enough, like, you could put it in. But he was just, like, like, when he got back in the dugout. And it was, like, I don't know. It was super sweet to see that. But then they competed against Cal State Bakersfield yesterday, Monday, where they lost 17-4. And that was just another very interesting game. Nin was able to play again, but Reggie was nowhere to be found. I did not see him in the dugout, didn't see him in the clubhouse. So I'm not sure where Reggie stands on anything currently, but yeah, the game started off, Drew Berrigan tripled, and then Nin Burns tripled, so Drew was able to score, and then they extended the lead in the second inning where Jack Salmon got his first solo home run of the season and as a Rebel, and that extended the lead to 2-0, but then Cal State Bakersfield got on board and took a 3-2 lead in the fourth, and then UNLV responded, and they got a 2-run double from Gavin Taylor in the bottom of the fourth, and that put the Rebels back in front 4-3. Unfortunately, it got a little hectic, but we still had the lead for a while. It was 8-4 going into, I believe, the seventh inning. And then the Roadrunners were able to get a 2-run homer from Devin Wilkes, and that cut the lead to 8-6. And then things just got kind of out of control. Our pitchers didn't necessarily have the best game that they could have. I believe it was 5 pitchers. It was Felix Ong to start the game, and then Tate Foxen, Cody Albright, Jacob Gomberg, and then Gavin Bowen. And I don't know, it was just a rough game. But, again, we had a home run from Johnny Rodriguez. We had a home run from Gavin Taylor. I believe Cooper had a home run as well. So, again, even though we lost, it was still a good game. And like I said, the Hustlin' Rebels always know how to make things interesting, and they will always have a high-scoring game, even if they lose.
Yeah, just the last few games, I guess the pitching hasn't been as good. 18 runs on the 29th, and then 17 runs yesterday. 35 runs between 2 games.
Yeah.
So they got to lock down the pitching rotation and the bullpen for sure, and hopefully get this thing back and running.
Well, see, here's the thing, too. That I don't believe, okay, Felix Ong had 3 earned runs. Tate Foxen had 2 earned runs. Cody Albright only had 1 earned run, and he only pitched, it says 1.2 innings. He wasn't doing bad. Both Tate and Cody had, pickoffs at first. I believe they could have stayed in a little bit longer. Maybe that's just me, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's not your call.
I know, it's not my call, but...
Yeah.
They weren't doing bad. And then... No offense, but Jacob Gomberg comes in 5 earned runs, and then I believe Gavin had 3 or 4 earned runs. So I feel like it could have been prevented, but again, not my call to make. But that's all I think for us, guys. I think that's it. What an interesting episode.
Yep. Congrats, Marcos Rosales, for Mountain West Player of the Week, and hopefully Hustlin' Rebels can get back in the win column against New Mexico.
Yes, they compete at home, but they compete against New Mexico this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, where I will be calling the game again on Friday. So that'll be fun. Make sure to go to Early Wilson Stadium to support your Hustlin' Rebels. And that is it for us this week. We will see you guys next week. And I have been your host, Maile Palacios.
And I'm Thomas Gobbo. We'll see you guys next week. Have a safe week. And, see ya.
See ya.